Well, will you look at that? It's time to taste the fucking Belcher. Hey guys, nice to see you again. So, it's been 3 weeks since I did the brew day video for Belcher. So, that was the very first beer that I brewed on my new kit. So, the very first beer I brewed in the new brewery. Loads of teething issues with using the new kit, using like a brew kettle and everything that I wasn't used to. Excuse my dog's just come in. Yeah, or a whole load of new kit that I wasn't used to. You alright, Millie? What's the matter? What's up? You scared? What's up? Where is it? I'm gonna have a look and see what's going on. What's the matter? So yeah, dog's come in. I don't know. She's just got scared of outside for some reason. So yeah, whole load of new kit I've never used before. Like I didn't have a recirculation coil. The sparge arm was terrible. So it was a bit of a stressful brew day, let's say, to say the least. But 3 weeks later, 2 weeks, beautiful, nice fermentation. I'll stick the nice little graph that I get from the wrap tea up on the screen so you can see the downward trend in the sugars that were left in. And it's ended up producing a beer that's come out absolutely amazing. So it's a 5.6% hazy New England IPA. Like I said on the brew day video, it's based on a beer by Trillium called Melcher Street, which I've had before at a beer festival. Brewed it before myself. I've decided to call it Belcher. Like the name, and it also rhymes with Belcher. So if I can go through the actual kind of the ingredients that we got here that are going to give it this absolutely lovely flavour. So we used the verdant ale yeast from L'Allemand, which gives it really nice like passion fruit, apricot, tropical mango kind of like ester flavours. So you're going to get those really nice fruity flavours in the actual beer itself. The hops we've used, we've got Centennial there to give it a little bit of bitterness. So we had added some to the actual boil. We added a load of Mosaic to the whirlpool for 20-30 minutes, I think it was. And then we had 250 grams of Mosaic went in for dry hop. So there was 150 grams that went in on the 7-day mark, and then there was 100 grams that went in on the 4-day mark. So an absolute massive amount of hops that give it, and it's a beautiful hop that just gives it those lovely fruity tropical fruit aromas. There were so many hops in that beer that when I tried to dump the cone, couldn't dump the cone because there was so much hops in the actual beer itself, and it just blocked up the cone. I think I need to try and add some pressure to the fermenter so that it pushes the cone out in the future. That's a thing I'm going to need to do at some point in the future just to do it. And also to make that process better so I can dump the cone before I decide to do the actual dry hop. What I do is I put my hops into like a hop tube, I think they call it, I don't know what it's called. We basically put that into a hop tube, dump it into the actual fermenter, and then you've got like something that contains the hops so it doesn't actually spill out into the beer itself. I also added another 100, they went in loose on day 4. And when it came to actually taking the beer out of the fermenter and putting it into the keg, the first load of beer that came out was absolutely green and full of hops. So I had to basically chuck that away. Got the beer into the keg. I wish I could have videoed the process actually. Let it carbonate in the Keyser on 40 psi for 24 hours. When I went to do my very first pour, nothing came out. Did a bit of inspection and found out that actually there was loads of hops that had blocked up the dip tube, so I had to wash that out. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of hops in this beer. So it should have attributed to the aroma and to the flavour of this beer. So let's dive in and see what we've got on the nose. So let's get this head nicely aroused so that we've got a bit of a nice head. And then just smelling it on the nose, you get these lovely passion fruit, ripe mango, peachy, just really nice, like fruity flavours, fruity aromas. But yeah, it's just a lovely, clean, lovely smell. I'm going to dive in and taste this beer, but as you can see, it just looks beautiful. The colour is a lovely pale yellow. It's nice and hazy. There's no, you cannot see through that beer at all. It's just beautiful. So let's dive in and just give it a little taste. It is so clean. There's no like bad flavours in this beer at all. It's come out tasting so fucking good. Really nice, fruity, slightly sweet, really nice soft mouthfeel. I put calcium chloride in, I put some Epsom salts in, I put a little bit of just normal sea salt in, tiny little bit, just to kind of give it that water addition that gives it that kind of soft mouthfeel that you kind of expect from a New England IPA. And it's really helped. It really does have that softness to the tongue, so like there's no sharpness or harshness to the tongue at all. It's just lovely soft, rolls over the back into the back of your throat. Really nice beer. I would recommend jumping into the recipe and giving this one a go. It might be expensive on the hop front, but it's actually worth it. It's really, really good. So I've got a keg of this left. I've got a Keezer at the moment that's got, I've got one tap here, which has got, that's kegged up with a stout. I've now got this tap here, which is kegged up with the Belcher. I've got 3 empty kegs here. I've got a party coming up in 4 weeks. The aim is to try and get all these 3 filled up, so that I've got 3 more kegs of beer, plus have a spare one. So it'd be nice if I can, the idea is I'm going to have another pale ale, so I'm going to do a light bulb clone, which that'll be the next video, so I'm going to be doing that one tomorrow. The day after, I'm then going to do a kettle sour, so I want to do a nice raspberry kettle sour, that's going to go in one of these taps. And then the following, in 2 weeks time after that, I want to either redo this beer or do a Faith clone and then do another sour, and that time it's going to be a kiwi sour. So I've got 1 red sour, 1 green sour, and then 2 pale ales with a pale ale in reserve, because this one here is probably going to run out, I reckon, by the time the party comes, or at least there won't be much left of it. Anyway, that's the intention. So over the next 4 weeks, there's going to be a lot of content coming out of here, a lot of brew days being done, a lot of beer being made. Saying that as well, I've made some modifications to the brewery. So I had issues with my sparge, I had issues with my recirculation coil. I fixed those. I'm going to have a little bit of a few clips at the end of this that are just going to show you the mash tun with the sparge arm working, and it's also going to show you the recirculation coil and how that's working as well, and how I made it, and also the little modifications I made in order to make it work. Enjoy those last little bits, guys. I will see you soon. Tomorrow I'm going to be making another video, which will be the brew day for the light bulb clone. Until then, happy brewing. Take care. Okay, so we're doing our first test with our sparge arm. So basically I've attached the old sparge arm that I had at my old brewery, my old brew shed, which was basically just one of these like giant, kind of like the rain effect shower head that you would normally have in a shower that just comes down from above you. A nice big round one. Worked perfectly as a sparge arm on my old one, although I had a really weird setup where I had this like brass frame that copper frame that it would like, sit on. So what I've done here is I've basically taken the, excuse the lighting, it's dark out here and I've got crap lighting in the shed, which is something I need to fix. So I've taken a tri-clamp fitting which goes into the side of the mash tun. Tri-clamp fitting, I've made a copper, nice and simple, like arm that will hold the sparge arm. I'm just doing a test here from the HLT down into a pump, which is then going back in through the hose into the SS Brewtech mash tun. So let me just go to the pump, turn that on. Okay, cool. And here we can see nice sparge arm. Let me just get this, like, it does this little pump thing. This is absolutely perfect. This is exactly what I want, and pisses over the SS Brewtech sparge arm which I had, which came with the actual mash tun itself. But this is going to be so much better. I'll be able to control the flow. It's going to give me a really nice coverage over the whole of the grain bed. So pleased. So nice to have this back. Anyway, brew day is tomorrow, so I'm going to be putting this to good use tomorrow. Cool, so here we are with, these are the tri-clamp fittings that I fitted to the lid of the HLT. As you can see, we've got a really nice, this is a malt miller, I don't know what they call it, I can't remember what they called it, but basically it's perfect for a Herms coil, so it's a stainless steel coil, I guess, with a input and an output. So what I've done is I managed to find, so these ones come from malt miller. The threads that we've got on here, so if I undo this, I had to drill so in here we've got a 17mm hole, which I drilled with a really nice hole punch, which I've never used before. Made the job so much easier. Really recommend it. And this is a 1.5 inch, is that 1.5 inch? Yeah, 1.5 inch tri-clamp fitting. And this is I think it was a 16mm, no it can't be. It was a 3/4 inch thread fitting on the inside. It's slightly smaller than normally you'd get with a 15mm BSPT fitting, I think it's called. So this fits perfectly onto the, so you can see here, just screw that on, fits perfectly onto the threads for the actual Herms coil. The only problem I've got with that is that the Herms coil actually comes with a barbed fitting on the end of it. So you're meant to normally put a silicone hose onto it, clip it on. I really didn't like the idea of having a lid for my HLT with the Herms coil fitted to it and constantly having, you know, silicone hose coming off of it, or having to fiddle around with fitting the silicone hose on brew day and having to tighten up the clips. So what I wanted to do was have a tri-clamp fitting, so this would always sit on top of the lid, and then I would use the another tri-clamp fitting to fit in place. Biggest problem I got here though is that because the barbed fitting still sticks out the top, it doesn't fit on the tri-clamp fitting because the hole on this side is too small to go over the hole on the actual where the barb is. So I need to cut this down. I'm going to cut it down as far down as I can, tidy it up, smooth it down so it's nice and no bits of metal sticking out, and it's nice and smooth, and then I can hopefully manage to fit this perfectly on top so we get a nice tight seal. So on brew day, you know, it's nice seal and it doesn't leak anywhere. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to get the angle grinder out, because that's all I've got basically. I do have a saw, but it's a pain in the arse. I'm just going to use the angle grinder and use that instead. Okay, cool. So here we are. I've managed to chop the ends off, so the barb fittings have gone. So you can see I have now got I've taken the whole barb fitting off all the way, or pretty much all the way down to the base. There's probably about 5mm left at the end of it, and I've kind of filed it down as well as I could. I've got a Dremel which enabled me to be able to like sand the edges down really nice and finely. I started off using an angle grinder. That was a big mistake. It was a little bit too much of a powerful tool to use on such a small fitting, so I ended up cutting it off with a metal saw, hand saw, whatever you call it. So here we are now. I've got the rubber O-ring that can go onto the tri-clamp fitting. You've got the tri-clamp fitting, fits perfectly. I've got one here that's already been tightened up, so you can see that it fits really nicely. So all I need now to do is get a silicone hose tube attached to this, and then clamp that one on, and then I can connect that to my pump, so that I can then have the outlet going into the mash tun, so that we can actually connect it to this fitting, so that we can then have a recirculation going. So I'm going to connect all of that up now, give it a little test and see where we are. Okay, so now, again, lighting's really shit because I'm doing this late at night. This is our recirculation. So we've got the top of the HLT. We have, from here we've got water coming out of the front of the HLT, going through the pump, pumping into the top of the coil. So we've got our Herms coil here. Perfect. That's going into the inlet of the Herms coil, coming through the outlet of the Herms coil, and then going back into you can see that, it's not very good, going back into the HLT, which is brilliant. So I've now got my recirculation sorted as well. So fingers crossed on brew day, this is going to be banging.